It was an ordinary Tuesday in the springtime of the year, when Mrs. Luella Papoofnik quite suddenly disappeared. I remember the days clearly as one recalls the start of a war, for the regional director would be touring the store. We spent the whole night cleaning, moving racks both hither and yon, folding banquet tables we'd been stacking towels upon. Business had been weakening for several months before, and the tension was quite heightened throughout the entire store. Mrs. Luella Papoofnik waddled in around 10 o'clock, when in our tidying frenzy we were straightening the stock. No one acknowledged her presence as she gathered a blouse to her breast and stood in front of a mirror, wishing she weighed much less. Though she was of a large proportion, she somehow managed to pass through our defensive line of sales associates polishing the racks. Selecting several more garments, she marched through the fitting room door, where she squeezed her way in with great effort and threw all the clothes on the floor. She bounced off walls and pulled at zippers in agony as she writhed. She grumbled and cursed when no one came to see if she was still alive. She cried for someone to help her decide which items looked best, and then groaned and bent and stretched while trying to get herself dressed. Then at this very instant, the fateful moment of truth, Luella J. Papoofnik tried getting out of that booth. But as this full-size patron began to slowly emerge, her bottom got caught in the doorway, a balloon starting to splurge. My staff could not contain themselves and commenced to roll on the floor as Mrs. Luella Papoofnik got lodged in the fitting room door. Just then my boss marched into the store with that somber look on his face, and I saw my assistant escape to the mall with her usual charm and grace. My staff floated off like dust balls adrift on the parquet floor, and left me with that director to walk around the store. Just then there came such a rumbling, the building shook to its core, as Mrs. Papoofnik discharged like a rocket from the sides of the fitting room doors. She hit the ground like a pumpkin tossed in a Halloween prank. She bounced to her feet in a furious charge, rolling like a tank, then swinging a handbag around her head like a morning star in flight. She eyed the regional director like a hunter in her sight. A look of horror on his face, my director stumbled back, then ran in my direction, fearing a creature's attack. Forever the loyal employee, I grabbed him by the tie and dragged him beneath a rounder of pants as the handbag whistled by. The purse bounced off a counter, careened off a mannequin's head, slid to the base of the escalator, slumped in a heap as if dead. Papoofnik ran down the aisle, tearing her charge card to shreds, then dropping the pieces into the air. She spotted her handbag ahead. As she lunged for the strap of her handbag, her foot mistakenly trod on a sample of cosmetic hand which lay on the floor in a glob. She slid for but an instant, just prior to leaving the ground, then swiped with her hand for the stranded bag while spinning herself upside down. Her bottom quickly ascended, preceded by only her feet. Her hand got tangled in the strap, which soon began slipping beneath. A widening crack in the escalator, which gaped in a dreadful grin and sucked her ample torso through the grinding gears within. Her body slid like a memo into a copy machine. Aside from a few bits of fabric, she was swallowed up quite clean. Her shrieks could be heard for a moment, but soon all was quiet once more, and all one could hear was the steady hum of the stairs headed to the next floor. My boss marched up beside me while straightening out his tie, and as my staff slowly gathered around, he looked me dead in the eye. "You'd best take care of fixing those stairs and mopping that slippery floor. But whatever you do, get a carpenter's crew and widen those fitting room doors."